Hi everyone, I'm Shelley and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another reading from Paradise Found, and today we're going to be reading Part 5, Chapter 5, The Quadrifurcate River. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. In Chapter 2nd of Part 2nd, we presented the simple and natural interpretation suggested by the hypothesis of a primitive circumpolar continent. If the reader will kindly turn back to the statement there made, he will see in how natural a manner the water system of that lost land of delights might have become, in after tradition, the one disparted river which waters the whole earth. The insuperable difficulties of all hitherto attempted identifications of the 4 rivers are too numerous to present here in detail. In our interpretation, the original river is from the sky. The division takes place on the heights at the pole, and the 4 resulting rivers are the chief streams of the circumpolar continent as they descend in different directions to the surrounding sea. Does such a view find any support in the traditions of the ancient world? That it does will be clear to anyone who has carefully read thus far. Let us take the rivers of the Persian, cradle of the race. Where do they rise? If the investigator of this question have made no previous studies in comparative sacred hydrography, he will be surprised to find that in Persian thought, not only the paradise rivers, but also all the rivers of the whole earth have but one head spring and but one place of discharge. This head spring is the Ardvisura, situated in heaven, the heaven of the pole. This heavenly fountain, says Hogg, summarizing the contents of the Aban Yasht, this heavenly fountain has 1,000 springs and 1,000 canals, each of them 40 days' journey long. Thence a channel goes through all the 7 keshavers, or regions of the earth, conveying everywhere pure celestial waters. The following is an ancient invocation to Anahita, the spirit of these heavenly waters. Come before me, Ardvisura Anahita. Come down from yonder stars onto the earth created by Ahura Mazda. These shall worship the handy lords, the rulers of countries, sons of the rulers of countries. From its elevation, the heavenly height is called Hugar, i.e. the lofty. Hugar, the lofty, is the mount from which the water of Ardvisura leaps down the height of 1,000 men. Again it is written, Hagar the lofty, on which the water of Ardvisura flows and leaps, is the chief of summits, since it is that above which is the revolution of Satavis, the chief of reservoirs. As all the rivers of the earth's 7 regions, so all lakes and seas and the ocean itself are from this one celestial fountain. Through the warmth and clearness of the water, purifying more than other waters, everything continually flows from the source Advisera. However named, all waters are simply portions of the same heaven-descending stream. The other innumerable waters and rivers, springs and channels are one in region with those, so in various districts and various places they call them by various names. Even plant sap and blood and milk and all the 17 kinds of liquid enumerated in the yashts are parts of the one cosmic current. All these, through growth or the body which is formed, mingle again with the rivers, for the body which is formed and the growth are both one. Everything of a liquid nature, therefore, in the whole world is conceived of as proceeding from one source high in the north polar sky. Whither is it tending? What becomes of it all in the end? Where do its myriad rills and rivers at last discharge? As according to the cosmological conception so often illustrated in these pages, all start from the zenith, we should naturally expect all to reunite at last in the nadir. This is found to be the fact. But in this nether gathering place the waters, now polluted from their contact with all the filth and vileness of the world, are not allowed to rest and accumulate. This cesspool of the universe has a pervious bottom. By the various processes of straining, vaporizing, aeration, etc., the polluted waters are by Tishtar brought back distilled and purified, and are redischarged into the zenith reservoir, which perpetually supplies the gushing streams of Ardvisura. Into such a marvelously complete cosmical circulatory water system did the Iranic imagination develop the primitive headstream of Eden. But never, even in the most extravagant mythological adornments of the idea, was it for a moment forgotten that the original undivided stream originates in the North Polar sky, and that its division into earthly streams and rivers is on the holy mount which stands in the center of Cavaneris, the central and circumpolar Keshver of the whole habitable earth. The various fragmentary allusions of the oldest Greek poets to Okeanos and the rivers would seem to imply the early existence, and perhaps early loss, of a similar Hellenic conception of the water circulation of the entire earth. Thus, according to Homer's familiar couplet, it is from Okeanos, in some application of the term, that all rivers and every sea and all fountains flow. Euripides presents the same idea. There is therefore one fountain of all the world's waters. The same conception is expressed by Hesiod in his Theogony, where all rivers as sons and all fountains and brooks as daughters are traced back to Okeanos. Then we have a constant descending movement of all waters until they reach the world-surrounding ocean river at the equator, beyond which is the underworld. From this equatorial ocean, parting off from the southern or undershore, new branches diverge and form the river system of the Hadean kingdom. Other underworld rivers were perhaps conceived of as percolating through the earth and emerging to the surface in the lower hemisphere. There is at least some evidence that the Greeks, like the Persians, had this idea of interterranean watercourses and even rivers, resembling the circulation of the blood in the human body. Sometimes these underworld rivers are represented as 4 in number, thus making the circumpolar water system of the underworld a perfect counterpart of the Eden rivers at the summit of the upper hemisphere. All, moreover, like those of the Persian underworld, seem to be plunging forward and ever downward, until in the last glimpse which the imagination can catch they are seen streaming from the roof of the grot of the goddess Styx, and as Preller expresses it, falling thence beneath the earth, downward into the deep, deep night. Here, then, we have a unitary water system, embracing the whole earth, and the remarkable Homeric and Hesiodic term refluent may well imply that the underworld, or outflow, returns in nature's perfect order to feed its original fountain, thus conforming the whole in every part to the sacred hydrography of the Persians. Granting this, one should locate the Okeanos fountain not where Preller and Welcker and Volker and the other mythographers have hitherto placed it, but in the farthest north and in the sky. That this location was the original one is plain from all the local implications of the mythological accounts of the proper home of Okeanos and Tethys, and is further confirmed by many incidental evidences connected with such myths as those of the Eridanus, the Achelous, the birth of Zeus, and particularly those of Atlas and his children. In the most ancient Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian literature, there are expressions which seem clearly to indicate the presence among these peoples of a precisely similar conception with respect to the waters of the world. The same is true of Egyptian literature, but in both these cases the data are as yet too meager to make them entirely conclusive in argument. We therefore pass them by and close with a glance at the Eden River of the ancient Aryans of India. This, as already seen, is the heaven-born Ganga. The Vedas call it the river of the 3 worlds, for the reason that it flows through heaven and earth into the underworld. In Vedic times, the original source and home of the waters was thought to be the highest heaven, the region peculiarly sacred to Varuna. This is clearly illustrated in scores of passages. For example, in the beautiful prayer for immortality, where the fourfold headspring of all waters is located in the sacred center of heaven. Sometimes the heaven-sprung stream is called the Sindhu, sometimes the Sarasvati. In the later Mahabharata, its headspring is placed in the heaven of Vishnu, high above the lofty pole star. On their descent, the ethereal waters wash the pole star, and the 7 rishis, the Great Bear, and the polar pivot of the lunar orb, thence falling upon the top of beautiful Meru. On the summit of Meru, says the Vishnu, Purana, is the vast city of Brahma, enclosed by the river Ganga, which is issuing from the foot of Vishnu and washing the lunar orb, falls here on the top of Meru from the skies, and after encircling the city divides into 4 mighty rivers, flowing in opposite directions. These rivers are Sita, the Alakananda, the Chakshu, and the Bhadra. The first, falling on the tops of the inferior mountains on the east side of Meru, flows over their crests and passes through the country of Bhadrasawa to the ocean. The Alakananda flows south to the country of Bharata, and dividing into 7 rivers on the way, falls into the sea. The Chakshu falls into the sea after traversing all the western mountains and passing through Ketumala. And the Bhadra washes the country of the Uttarakurus and empties itself into the northern ocean. Here again, as our interpretation of Genesis requires, the 4 rivers traced back to their origin bring us to the summit of the earth at the pole, to the one river which descends from the north polar sky. Curious confirmations of this primitive conception come even from the most distant continents. Late Christian legend shows evident traces of it, for in Mondeville's description of the Paradise Fountain he says, "All the sweet waters of the world, above and beneath, take their beginning from that well of paradise. And again, out of that well all waters come and go," giving thus clear expression to the idea of a unitary cosmic water circulation. So again, in the apocryphal revelation of the Holy Apostle Paul, the angel who was showing the apostle the wonders of the heavenly city brought him to just such a world river, whose spring was in heaven, but whose main body surrounded the earth. "And he set me upon the river whose source springs up in the circle of heaven, and it is this river which encircleth the whole earth. And he says unto me, This river is ocean." That concludes today's chapter. I hope that you enjoyed it, and that's all that I have for you right now. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. And if you like my work and would like to support my channel, I will leave a link in the description for my YouTube membership, or you can just click on it right on my channel page. And I hope you have a great day.